Hi, it's Hazel, and welcome to my channel. I am disgusted that this is take number 3 on this video. I'm trying something different. I'm taping on location in the bedroom where several of the curated bookcases are. My hope was that I would, avoid having to drag books back and forth across the length of the house. So I've got I'm facing a big window. Of course, I'm losing, losing light as we speak because this is taking so long. This is also the more inferior phone holder that's on this stand, so it's harder for me to see what is actually in frame. But I think that this has to be 3 times lucky because, to be honest, I have to get this taped, uploaded in time for tomorrow's episode 4 of What's in My Bookcase series. So this week we're focusing on children's books. Now, I don't have them all here by any stretch of the imagination. In fact, I have several of them stored in a storage ottoman. I haven't looked at them for ages, but I have plenty to work with already, so that's not a big deal. And of course, after a while, you begin to see what I've got. I guess the only advantage to doing this so many times is that I finally remembered to bring a ruler, so that when I talk about a book like this, that's 12 inches tall, I can actually confirm that, not just guess at it, and 5 inches wide. I bought this book a while ago from a bookseller, and I liked it because it is different. And of course, I also bought it, long before everybody started doing the tall, skinny journals. So this, in fact, is a little bit too tall even for that format. But there are some cute images in here. I think I should know these dates by heart by now. It's copyright 1944, and the title, in case you missed it, is The Tall Book of Nursery Tales. Now, what I am doing today is showing you a bunch of books that are both picture books, that are readers, and then some books that I have in series that I'm collecting. So I don't know the Alice and Jerry books. That does not ring a bell for me at all, but I love the cover. And, considering the age of some of these books, a lot of these titles a lot of the condition is really good. A lot of these school books, well, this one is different. It's got copyright years. 1949 is the most recent. The books are really in pretty good condition considering their age. Now, the other thing I should kind of warn you about is this setup here in the bedroom is that I am using an ironing board. So there tends to be some wobble. I'm cognizant of that. I'm going to try very hard not to, shake things up too much. Now, the other thing that I'm sure you've pieced together for yourself already is that the older the kid that the books were directed at, the more text on a page, the bigger the words, the more complex the story, as compared to a Dick and Jane book that has maybe 6 words on a page. So if, in fact, the goal is to try to find some words to use as sentiments or to do some finishing touches when decorating or embellishing something, you would probably have better luck in a book like this than you would in one of those really early readers. I didn't really gather together the textbooks as such, like the math books and the grammar books and anything like that, because that almost seems like maybe it's a category of its own. This book was copyright 1937. The paper is matte and nice. It's also, you know, kind of dirty. Nice pen and ink drawings, but there aren't very many of them. I hope now, I suppose, because I'm using, you know, room lights, that there's probably now a shadow on these pages. It almost seems like this taping was doomed from the start, but I don't really believe that. So I'm going to plow ahead. Now I'll pull in another pile here. This is a token little golden book. And the very first time I opened it, I was surprised to see that I had already removed the pages. So, I mean, everyone is familiar with these, and a lot of people alter them. I've never done that, but we know that as a rule, the illustrations are pretty darn cute. From when my own kids were young, I had those little golden books that are, you know, about 2.5 inches tall or so. I should have probably made it my business to find them and have them here as well, but I think probably most of you will have seen them at some point. Let me just stand up and see if I can see. Okay. So this book is another one of those with an interesting cover. Again, pretty good condition. That green kind of doesn't appeal to me at all, but if you happen to like puke green, this is definitely your year. There's a lot of that color in fashion, in home decor, and I have a daughter who that's her favorite color. So, I mean, buy it now, or you're probably going to be waiting forever again till the cycle comes around. This book was copyrighted in 1939, but this printing was 1953. Again, large font. I'm going to avoid repeating myself wherever possible. If you are tuning into this series because you're a junk journaler or you do other paper crafts, then you know as well as I do, and perhaps more so, what to do with different elements of this craft. Pockets, journaling tags, page embellishments, clusters, belly bands, fussy cuts, and so on. So I will try to not repeat myself because that is going to be a consistent thing from book to book to book. I know that now, in having gathered these books and in flipping through them and talking about them, it just sort of warms my heart a bit. Even if some of these were not my era, so to speak, they might have been for my children, or they're just, I don't know, there's just a nostalgia and an innocence and a sweetness and a simplicity and an indication of a simpler time. And I think that's why you'd probably be hard-pressed to find someone who isn't touched by these memories. So, of course, that in itself is a good reason to use these books. So you can see that it's a cross-section of, you know, images that would be great in a nature book, or just if you wanted a more whimsical feel to whatever it is you're doing. Of course, family, children, kind of everyday life, kind of a strong farm theme in some of them as well. And so Christmas, for that matter, I think that's in a lot of the books. So as I've been looking through these books today, it makes me want to do some more fussy cutting. That's something that I quite often do at bedtime. if I'm watching Netflix or YouTube videos, it just seems kind of, you know, one eye on what you're doing, one eye or maybe your ear on the TV, and it's kind of a Zen kind of thing to do. Most of these books have very interesting end papers. This is stamped 1964. This is a nice book in that it's got some of these full color illustrations. Montreal Canadiens and Toronto Maple Leafs. And this originally copyrighted in 47, and this printing was in 64. Not a great deal of color in it. It does have that green band right across the whole book. Nice big numbers, typically black and white illustrations, but if there is color, it will incorporate that same green. You know, so if a person, say for instance, was doing a masterboard and wanted a continuity of color through it, you know, picking a number of images out of, say, a book like this would be one way to ensure that, you know, that people, that you're able to do that continuity quite easily. That's lovely too. So, again, really good condition. Here's another cute cover, another cute end paper. This one is 1950. So same sort of scenario. And I think what's good in a lot of these books is some of the images are sized in such a way that, you know, you could easily cut something like that out, a little Scotty dog or whatever, and use it to embellish even the smallest thing. In other cases, say something like this, a person could rip the page out, fold it down to sort of reinforce the top of it and turn it into a pocket. One good image after another. Let's bring in another little pile here. This one is called The Adventures of Reddy Fox. Another cute end paper. This is 1943. The pages are quite small. Not that many black and white illustrations, but of course they are cute. The paper's thick and nice. So again, sometimes a variety of color in the paper, in the font. You know, that's what adds. Like, look at this. And I think I kind of figured out it's approximately 1940s. So look at the size of that font. Like, this page is, well, about 7¼ inches tall, and look look at the size of that font. So, you know, contrast that with, you know, that color difference, font difference, intensity of the ink because it's so much bigger. You know, that's how you get variety in, for instance, a masterboard. You know, maybe you've decided to do it all in neutrals, but by the time you pick all these different book page colors and font differences, you've got some variety going on there. Just in that way, you know, just in that one decision, in that one choice that a person makes, and how to combine those things. Oh, did I show you this cover? This is another cute one. So some of these that are in really great shape, and have really nice covers would lend themselves obviously very nicely to doing an altered book project. I don't know if I'm going to, I don't remember what book it was in, or I may not see it again, but in one of the other takes, I was commenting on how I just find it, I don't know, comical or sad that quite often Mother was wearing a fitted dress, a bib umbrella, and pump shoes. I guess maybe she'd forgotten her pearls that day, and was, you know, like out in the backyard with the kids. And I'm thinking, oh, brother, where, you know, what about comfort? Does comfort not fit into this equation at all? And luckily, that expectation has gone out the window with, you know, many others. So, mind you, I guess maybe if I paid attention, maybe fathers were out there in suits and ties. Who knows? It was definitely a different time. This book is soft cover. And I think when I came across it, and I don't remember where, it seems to me I paid $5 for it. Now, it is virtually mint. It's 1986. And I must have convinced myself that, oh, there will never be another book like this. And I, of course, wanted to keep it intact. You got to know it's more recent. He's got a riding lawnmower. Anyway, so of course this has remained untouched. But, and I think I've said this before, you know, in other videos, that once you have a sufficient, or at least to my way of thinking, once you have a sufficient quantity of something, it becomes less precious, and a person feels like you now have permission, air quotes, to do with it what you will, because, you know, you don't need to hoard it anymore, because now you have more choices and you can use some and still have some. Again, really cute. Is this the gal with the high heels? Well, not quite. I've seen worse. And I thought that mother was outside. Or maybe she was aerating the lawn too with her high heels. Anyway, that's just me on the soapbox. Here are, now you may have seen these. I think they're fairly common. I don't think they're always this big. Certainly, they're probably directed at different age kids, because I have others that are smaller books, thicker, and more, well, they all have kind of a religious bent to them, and there always seems to be a moral or a lesson in every story. Isn't that cute? So there was probably different books directed at different audiences, different kids. This one is cute, and it especially has these really nice end papers. It's kind of these children of the world. This one is called My Big Book of Fairy Stories, 256 pages in full color. Now this, you know, if we were rating my favorite illustrations, this is not exactly near the top, but there is some value to it anyway. I mean, it's a different style. It's more bold. I think this is also the book that has, you know, sort of a page of puzzles. So if a person wanted to, you know, just rip it out and include it in a pocket, then the recipient of the book, you know, would have an activity sheet to do. So that's quite nice. These things that are nicely squared off make it easy to cut them into tags. So that's another good. Oh, did I tell you probably didn't tell you the year. Oh, great. Roman numerals. I think that is 1974. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. This one, I get a kick out of this too, how books were, and I seem to have more, perhaps the same thing happened with books for girls, but I seem to have books that were geared towards boys. Boys and sports, boys and boats, boys and, this says 1953. I don't think I could find another date on it. Really thick paper, black and white illustrations. So it's like only boys would have a photo like that of a guy punching somebody else out. You know, pirates and conflict and war and another fight. I guess I'm hoping, and again, I don't have a reason to be looking at children's books today, but I just hope that some of those gender some of the gender stereotyping that has gone on in the past is kind of being slowly reduced a bit, because we know that, or we want to encourage both genders to explore, to maximize their own capability, regardless of what field of endeavor, what area of study, what area of art or talent they might have, without feeling that they need to fit into a certain box. This is another bigger book, 2008. Again, very colorful, a different sort of font again. You know, because it's newer, it's sort of brighter white, but again, really cute. Some of these full page images would probably lend themselves as collage fodder or to making envelopes or something like that, because they're kind of rather too big for fussy cutting or even as page as portfolios or signature pages. So yeah, this one is 10 inches tall, so that's a bit much. You know, something like that, really cute. A face that only a mother could love. Yeah. This one is a Ladybird book. And I know that I have others, like the smaller format, but I may have taken them apart. Yeah. So the nice thing about this one is that it's got these cool borders. So if I wanted Jack and the Beanstalk running up the side of my page, it would be easy enough to cut that off right there and have him, you know, have that border in place. And of course, some lovely images there as well. Or maybe I need a gingerbread house in the worst way. It just, it's different, and again, so 1998, different is kind of what I find appealing, because I think that's sort of just the nature of things. We kind of get into a rut, and if we see the same thing over and over again. This is a second copy of this. The other one I have already taken apart. I love it because of the, that girl is cute, because of some of the, I think maybe they're closer to the front. Some of these borders, like the, you know, the bookshelf, the open books here, the kids reading, the decoration down the side, bunch of butterflies to fussy cut. Like these are gorgeous, images. More butterflies. Look at the detail. Everything from a castle to a mermaid to a fairy to a pirate ship. Like, you want it, you've got it. This one also has some of these really large, okay, this page is almost 12 inches. And of course wide, about almost 8.5. So that too would make a great envelope. Do you need a loaf of bread? There it is. I know that in the other book I fussy cut these boys' heads and used them to decorate something or other that I was working on. Just cute, cute, cute. I see this book quite often, so there must be a fair number of them out there. If you like those sorts of images, you might want to keep your eye peeled for that. Okay. No, I guess that's another advantage of, well, this isn't necessarily for kids. Well, maybe it is, yeah. Simplicity. But this one, A Feast of Flowers, I think I have this one more than once also. It's a Reader's Digest thing, and it says My Nature Library, 6 inches tall. Really cute images. Do we have a year? 1982. But look at, fussy cut around those berries. A lot of people like doing bee journals. Just gorgeous. And because they are sewn in, a person could easily, gingerly take apart the book and then use them as signature pages. This one is called Playtime Poems, same sort of series. I would imagine probably the same, 1983. So again, really cute. I don't know about you, but when I flip through books in thrift stores or bookstores or whatever, unless I really love the illustration, I don't care how old, cheap, valuable a book is. If I don't like the illustrations, I don't want it. Like, life's too short for some of those illustrations that look either, well, to my way of thinking, either sloppy or almost scary. Like, just, I don't know. You may or may not know that in my Etsy shop I have these 100+ paper or book page packages. And I know that I bought some from other people, and quite often you get multiple pages out of the same publication. And I find that a bit disappointing. So I made it my business to make sure that there were no duplicates. And of course I wanted to include some children's book pages as well. So this is one of the books I drew from. I love these end papers, by the way. Love burgundy. This is 2009, so it's relatively new, but it's so cute. These pages are roughly, the book is probably 6.5 square. And the nice thing is that also sewn in, that you've got virtually the snippet or the verse or the whatever tends to always be on one page. So you don't have to worry about, are you chopping something off in mid-sentence? And just look how cute and colorful, and yeah, what's not to love here? So that book is included in the pack, or not the book, the pages, as well as something as pages out of this Art Linkletter's book. This is Picture Encyclopedia for Boys and Girls. And I think I only maybe have 2 of these or so. Not great shape. And of course it's alphabetical, so it looks like I got a F and G issue or volume. And you can see that it typically has a paragraph or 2 of information. And the only things these things have in common is the fact that they're close to each other in the alphabet. Bright, almost stark kind of drawings. But again, you know, cute, informative, colorful. The paper is nice and matte. So, you know what? Every time I turn this open, I see Hitler. And I guess and that was something I said, not in regard to him, but in one of the, I've probably gone past it already. When a lot of these books were printed, it was a different time and place. And I mean, I'm not telling you anything you don't know. Attitudes have changed. Sensitivities have changed. Awareness has changed. And hopefully society is evolving, and things that would have been commonplace or accepted or promoted, encouraged, allowed years ago are now being re-examined through a different lens of understanding and empathy and compassion. I also think that there are very few people on this globe whose people have not been in some way affected by the behavior, the attitudes, the stereotyping of others. So, like, we all have our story, our victim story, our story of mistreatment or misunderstanding. So maybe it's just time to be a little kinder to each other. Be a little aware. Stop maybe being defensive or saying, well, you know, it was okay back then. We can't rewrite history. No, we can't and shouldn't rewrite history. Otherwise, we don't learn from it. But maybe we could go gracefully and graciously into the future and not turn this whole thing into a kind of an act of aggression as well. And I don't, you know, again, why do I feel compelled to say all this? I don't know. Because it's my video. I don't want to come across as lecturing, but I do think it's important to say that as we are going through materials that are dated, whether, you know, it's got Indigenous people in it, whether it's got, you know, somebody like Hitler in it, it's just the same as when I was putting together my stamp packs, postage stamp packs for Etsy. I did it in color waves, and it took hours upon hours upon hours of sorting. Because again, I didn't really want to have duplicates. Like, who needs a million of those, you know, some of those stamps that we've all seen a million times? I wanted to give people a cross-section of stamps. Well, I'll tell you, I threw out so many stamps with Hitler's face on them just because it felt like the right thing to do. So I guess that's all I'm trying to say. That if we want this world to be better, kinder, gentler, maybe it begins with us. I don't know. Anyway, I will stop there. I clearly have 2 copies of this same book, and you can see that I've already taken this one apart and have been using it either as signature pages or for fussy cutting. Now you can tell by the size of these holes that there was some pretty darn thick string binding this. And I don't know, I guess maybe that was a deliberate decision. Maybe they thought that those young kids, those young readers were just going to beat the you-know-what out of these books. But once if you go at it slowly, you can get them out of there. Sometimes some of those books are also, I don't think I have an example here. I don't know what that kind of a binding is called, but maybe I'll try to describe it. Sometimes you see a book that has a very flattened area here. Whoops. A very flattened area here. Oh, almost like where did I put that little golden book? So if you find, it's probably the bottom of the pile here somewhere. Anyway, I guess you can understand without seeing. Sometimes you'll come across a book that has those heavy-duty staples holding it together. So that needs a little extra TLC to get that apart. You pretty well need a screwdriver or something to straighten the prongs out on the staples so that you can pull them out without ripping holes in every page. So that's all I'm saying. That, kind of go gently and you will find that you can take apart virtually anything. Now, these 2 books are recent acquisitions. I didn't show them in my last thrift haul video because I knew I was going to be doing this kid book thing. I don't even know if I did not pay $25. You can count on that. So is that 1920? I can't check. My phone is the one recording here. It is, 1920. So it's got illustrations, color illustrations, which are really nice. It's got, obviously this yellowed paper. And nice feel to it, nice font, pretty decent condition considering its age. So yeah, I picked this up the other day. Some of them are very, very sweet. I personally don't care too much for all the war or soldier ones, but it is what it is. You get what you get. And again, a very dramatic looking set of end papers. This one also, I couldn't find a great deal of information on it. I did try to Google it before I bought it to get a feel for the year. There's something called the Red Caps Annuals that you Google and it says 1965. Well, this one is definitely not 1965. It says 1921, and that feels more accurate to me. Again, a lot of whimsy in those end papers. I did not pay these prices. Again, cute illustrations. Almost that newsprinty construction type feel to the paper. Black and white illustrations mostly, or an additional color. Again, gigantic font. And just look at the yellowing. It's almost like, what is this? Sorry, I'm shaking my ironing board. Okay, old fables, tales, and rhymes, the pictures bright and gay, blah, blah, blah. So no wonder it seems like, yeah, fables. Tortoise and the hare. Yeah, so another nice book. Okay, we're getting close to the end. I'm going to wind up with these. Now this, boy, I hope there aren't too many shadows. I refuse to do this a fourth time. You'll just have to forgive me. Let's see if I can maybe angle this. Oh, that maybe makes it worse. Okay, we're almost done. This is a beautiful burgundy book that is heavily embossed. You can see decades worth of dust that have settled in the little crease there. It's called Book Trails for Baby Feet. Castle, guy on a horse, probably about to do some kind of conquest somewhere. Lovely, lovely end papers. Everything from a pirate ship to a castle to a ferry to, you know, animals dressed like people. You know, all the things we expect in a book. So, again, fairly big font, cute little illustrations. You know, maybe one additional color added to some of the pages. But probably, I would think, and this is really sweet, I would think that the thing that the initial attraction would have been that cover. And, you know, obviously, at some point, I will probably take this apart and reuse that cover because, I mean, the workmanship and the uniqueness of it, you just don't see that sort of thing these days. Really nice book plate, and can't remember if I found the date on this or not. 1928, 1946. So again, really nice. Okay. Now these last three are all from the Bookhouse series, but they're different series. I think I have 6 of these, and again, cute end papers. I smile every time I see this. I think there is a degree of sophistication and class in this little band. They've used a minimal number of colors. There's a lot of detail, but it's, I don't know, it's just, maybe it's more subdued than some of the other things we've seen, but it makes me smile every time I see it. This one is 1920. So when they kind of set a color scheme like that, you will see that throughout the book, that color scheme repeats itself. There's also a fair bit of discoloration. I think maybe from maybe there's a color transfer from the illustration to the text. But anything that, there's some damage, any illustration that you see in this book will tie back to those original colors. So if a person was say doing a masterboard and you wanted that continuity running through it, I think I said that earlier about a different book, you know, the way to ensure that it looks balanced and cohesive is to have a repeating element like color. And the illustration style is another thing that is going to ensure that it looks like it belongs together. You know, just sweet, sweet. And even, you know, some of the poems and the larger font in the chapter headings or the story headings gives a person some options if you're selecting. Okay, so this is spread over 2 pages, but something short like this. A little few lines about a hummingbird and then a hummingbird illustration. Like, it just makes decorating so kind of such a no-brainer because it just works together. I love these 2 pages. I can see chopping that off like so, having that become a, you know, a belly band or a bookmark or something. Likewise on this page. Horizontal belly band. Gingerbread house. Gorgeous. Anyway, love it. Love it, love it. Similar, I mean, this, it's still my book house with these guys. I think I have 6 of these as well. Different, obviously different titles. This one is called In the Nursery. This one I just showed you was called Through Fairy Halls. Again, interesting book pages. Oh, did I get ahead of myself here? Oh, I wanted to do this one. Oh, well, what difference does it make? I was going to show this one last because look at the riot of color. Never fails. If there are bats in a book, chances are I'm going to find that page. Like, how gross is that? Anyway, what I was trying to show you were these colorful, lovely, delicate drawings. Like, this book also seems to have, where does it begin? It seems to have nursery rhymes and so on from different countries. So, African child rhymes, Finland, Hungarian, you know, on and on. I think I was slightly offended at the Canadian ones because somebody seems to think that we're all Eskimos and we live in igloos. Let me set the record straight. That is not the case. I don't think we even rated colored drawings, if I'm not mistaken. I probably won't be able to find it now. It's just as well. Anyway, really cute. You know, from teeny tiny to kind of half page. Cute, cute, cute. Did I tell you the date on this? 1937, 1950. I find these books show up fairly regularly. You know, probably more likely single copies and not, you know, a whole set. They can be a little bit pricey because I think people realize that there's a value to them. And finally, we're going to end on this one. Oh. Yeah, I showed you those. We're going to end on this one. And look at the color story that is being told here. Turquoise and orange. So, as I said before, that is the recurring color theme throughout the book. You can see that there's a lot of text in this one, which in a sense is, well, just when I want to say something proves me wrong. I was going to say, well, it's easy to pick because you don't have to worry about the other side. But in this case, you do. So in this case, if you want that image, you don't have to worry about what's on the other side. So that is the plus to fewer illustrations, fewer hard decisions to make. But again, just lovely, detailed drawings. And out of, okay, which one is this? I think I only have 2 of this series. I think these guys, I don't think they're in print anymore. Okay, this was from 1920 to 1950, and this printing was 1954. I hope that the selections that I've shown you today make you want to look through your own kids' books, if you have some, or begin searching them out when you're thrifting. Oh, look at the nice color of that bruise. I think that's from moving stuff around in the studio. Anyway, when you're out and about and some of these things catch your eye, like look at how beautiful that is. When they catch your eye, maybe you'll give them a second look or decide, I must own this. And I think too that for people who are just beginning, who maybe don't want to make this investment, because let's face it, even if everything that I showed you here, and that's not the case, but if everything that I showed you here costs, say, $2 an issue, a copy, 3, 5, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 25. So there's about 30 books here. At $2 each, that would be $60. And this doesn't even really represent one shelf in my collection. So now there is clearly value to owning some of these things oneself, both because then you decide if it's something you're keeping as an heirloom to pass on to your children. If you bought it for resale purposes, if you bought it to just savor and enjoy, if you bought it to cut up and destroy, your money, your investment, your choice. Those things are all true. However, sometimes because of opportunity or budget, it's impossible to build one's collection. And it doesn't, unless you're loaded, it doesn't happen overnight. And I think that's probably a good thing in a way, because I think most of us love the thrill of the hunt. However, the point I'm trying to make, and I'm circling, and I'm going to get there, trust me, I'm going to get there. The point I'm trying to make is that if a person is unable, because of location or finances or whatever, to begin building their own personal collection, there are options out there, both, like I say, through my Etsy store and other people's, to buy book pages. Now, whether you are then prepared to use the ones you buy, I guess that becomes another story in itself, because we all know that there's a certain amount of hanging on to and hoarding and protecting of some of our favorite things that we all seem to do. I also have discovered, through my own experience, that once we have more of something, like if I had one kid's reader, grade 1, grade 2, whatever it is, I'd be hanging on to that thing and keeping it intact because, there may never be another one. But once you have more than 1 or 2 and you've gotten them maybe at some really good prices, it seems to, at least in my case, it seems to give me, give me permission to cut into it. There's more where that came from. It is not as precious as it might seem at first blush. So that is what I have to say about that. Anyway, I need to stop this, get it uploaded, so that it will actually appear on my channel tomorrow. So heaven help me if this take 3 is not up to your expectations. But truly, I tried my best. And if this system and this stand and this ironing board and this whole, MacGyvering that I did here today does not give me the results that I want ultimately, then clearly I'll figure something else for the next time. But anyway, for the sake of getting this done, it's done. So again, thank you for watching. I don't know what week or episode 5 will be, but I hope you choose to keep tuning back in. Thanks. Bye.